What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the series, and welcome to the last installment of story time. I said it in the previous episode, we will be wrapping everything up today, bringing it to the present day. So if you haven't already, make sure you go back and watch episode 1 and 2 now, so you're not missing out on anything. And without further ado, let's get into the story time. So I ended the last story time at the age of 21. In 19 to 22. A 4-year period. I'm not really going to get into what happened because it's relevant, but it's not relevant to the series. Without diving too much into it, a 2-year PLC, graduated with a level 6 in sports science, a gym instructor qualification, moved on to actual college to do physiotherapy. I got a job as a gym instructor shortly after starting college. Eventually decided that I wanted to be a personal trainer instead of doing physiotherapy. Dropped out of college, worked full-time as a gym instructor, went and got my personal training diploma. Now we can just start where I want to start. January 2023, 22 years old. I'm after working as a gym instructor for just over a year and a bit at this stage. I left that job in search of working as a personal trainer full-time. Around this time I also started posting on social media for the very first time. I had seen social media as the best way that I could help people. I wanted to promote my message, I wanted to impact people in any way that I could, whether that was sharing knowledge, making people laugh. No matter what the impact was, I just wanted to be able to say that I'd done something good that day and I provided something to somebody. I posted continuously 3 times a day, every single day for a good 9 months straight. In 2023, this was also the year that I took my training serious. Put the shit, put the head down. Let's get into the shape that we've always wanted to get into. I hired a coach at the start of the summer. Was with him for about 2 months. Felt like I was in a good position to continue the cut that I was on. I got into the best fucking shape of my life. Not to sound like I'm blowing smoke up my own hole. If I could have rode myself back then, I would have. Over that summer, me and my girlfriend Elena also made the decision that we were going to start looking at emigrating. The area that we were living in at the minute wasn't great. We were living in a student house with like 6 other people, and this house was fucking hell on earth. Like, there was mice, there was rats, there was mold everywhere. If you seen it, you would think that it was a fucking crack den. Going into the second half of 2023, in September I got a retail job, working 9 till 6 Monday to Friday. Not much time to yourself, and then come the evening time, if you are going to the gym, it's like a fucking zoo. I used that as an excuse that I couldn't do my videos anymore. I stopped posting on social media completely. I stopped taking my training as serious. At this stage, my only importance was getting ready to move. So everything else kind of was second priority. Now we go into 2024. 2024 was going to be our big year. We moved in May of 2024, so it was just at the start of the summer. Before we moved, as I said, our life wasn't great. We were living in an absolute shithole of a house. We had no friends. And to be honest, more so me when I say this, but we just started to kind of develop a bad taste in our mouth for Ireland. I felt like the country was betraying us. The government didn't care for people my age. Everybody my age was starting to emigrate to Australia or Canada. If they hadn't emigrated, they were living at home with their parents. Everybody was depressed. Nobody was happy being in Ireland. When we moved to Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So we moved to the capital city of Canada. When we got there, it felt like Canada was everything that Ireland was failing to be. Like, the weather was great. We got a beautiful apartment. We met a really nice friend group straight off the bat that we're still friends with today. We both got jobs that we were really happy with. So I got a job as a personal trainer. Elena got a job as a barista. Everything was just going so smooth. Everything was just absolutely great. And as I said, it was just a fairy tale come true. But what we had noticed is everybody that we met, whether it was strangers or friends, was telling us yous were wrong for coming here. Like, why the fuck did yous move to Canada? More specifically, why did yous move to Ottawa? Like, this country is just not what it used to be. C19 absolutely ruined us. We still haven't bounced back. If you had moved here prior to like 2020, before all of that shit had started, you would be living an amazing life. All your dreams would come true, etc., etc. But Canada is just not the place to be right now. Obviously, to us, as I said, at this stage, we were living a fairy tale. Everything seemed amazing. So we had just thought people were over exaggerating. Like, we're just have to leave in Ireland that is in this financial position that you are trying to say that Canada is in. How bad can Canada be? Let's ignore it. People are just being negative. Don't let them drag us down. As I said, everything was going really fucking well for us. Some would say that it was going too well. And normally, when things go too well, you know at some stage your momentum is going to slow down and you're going to get a reality check. And that reality check came for us in September. We realised that the warnings that people had been giving us over the summer about Canada not being in a great financial place was very much true, because we started struggling financially as well. We started second guessing if we had just made the fucking worst mistake of our life coming here. I think the best way to put it is we were struggling to find our feet. We were struggling to find a routine. We were really struggling with the food as well. That's another thing, especially Elena. Everything that she ate just caused her chronic gut pain. It wasn't like an unheard of thing in Canada, because I had met Canadians over there. I worked with Canadians that went through the same thing, that they physically could not eat carbs from their own country because of the sugars, the preservatives, whatever it was. But everything was slowly losing its fairy tale effect, and it was no longer a holiday. We realized that, yeah, this is actually our reality now. We need to learn to live here. We were really struggling financially at this point. What used to be an escape for me slowly transitioned into a stress. The gym used to be my everything. The gym was my escape. The gym was my passion. Helping people was my passion. As a personal trainer, my income is based off of other people's income to be able to purchase my services. And as I said, we started to realize that Canada wasn't in a great place financially. Though a lot of people weren't able to afford a personal trainer, and it wasn't just me, it was our entire fucking team of trainers. We were all struggling. So because work was causing me so much stress, I then seen working out as another stress, because it was related to the place that was causing the most stress on my life. So instead of getting back into the gym when I moved, which is what I thought I was going to do, I actually started going to the gym less. I know that's a double-edged sword, because if I continued going to the gym, it probably would have helped my mental health. But I was so stressed and annoyed at the fact that the gym was affecting my life in a negative way that I didn't want to go and train. So it was just kind of, I was finding it very hard to find a balance of separating work from my leisure, because the two of them were intertwined. When me and the rest of the team couldn't make sales, I started to feel like it was a failure. And that feeling carried into my outside life as well. I started to feel like everything that we were going through in Canada, the fact that everything had slowed down and that we were starting to second guessing if this was the right choice or not, it was all my fault. I dragged us here. I painted a picture that this was going to be a big fairy tale come true, extravagant lifestyle, or big life-changing event that we needed. And instead of all of that happening, it was causing us nothing but stress. I just felt like it was my fault. And I've always been somebody that lives my life 5 years ahead. So I have like an image in my brain of what I want my future to look like. And if my present day doesn't match the future that I want, instead of putting my head down and working towards that future, I will get annoyed that I don't already have it. And I know that sounds fucking stupid. Some people might understand what I'm on about, other people won't. But I feel like if I'm happy with my present, that I'm being dishonest to myself, because it doesn't look like the future that I want, which in my mind is when I'll be happy. But that was just something that I was really struggling with. And Elena, on the other hand, is somebody that if something is outside her control, she won't let it affect her. And that's the best way to be. I just couldn't help but let everything affect me. And I just started to become a fucking weight to be around. I'd make a bad situation feel 10 times worse. And I hit rock bottom. As I said, I put this move on a pedestal, and because it was going wrong, I felt like it was all my fault. Just couldn't allow myself to say, look, it's out of your control. We brushed it off as just a bad month. We moved on with our lives, etc. Then we get into November. What started off as just a little bit of financial stress turned tenfold because we were getting closer to Christmas, we were getting closer to the holiday season, and that overwhelming feeling of being a failure just became a lot worse. And it wasn't all the time. Like, I wasn't just a complete sad sack 100% of the time. Like, there was days where I was good, but there was also days where I was bad, and those bad days outweighed the good days. And for the first time in my life, I ended up having a panic attack. I allowed the stress and the anxiety and just overwhelming feeling that I had let the two of us down and that I was dragging her with me. I didn't recognize the person I saw in the mirror anymore. I went from being somebody that took pride in caring for myself and had a passion of caring for others to not going to the gym, hating my job because in my mind it had caused all of this. I really started to just fucking resent Canada. And although Elena started to hate it a little bit as well, she hated it for other reasons. She missed home. She hated the food. She obviously did feel a little bit of the same things as I have of the financial stress and stuff. December, Christmas time was the hardest month because this is where homesickness really, really started to just become an overwhelming feeling. We're missing family. We ultimately ended up celebrating Christmas alone because obviously all of our friends went off to their respective families, and we just couldn't wait for New Year's. Just had to write 2024 off and say that, look, everybody struggles with the first 6 months after they move. Like, we're still new in the country, we still need to get our feet under us. I started to calm down a little bit. I was still having panic attacks. January came and I strapped my sack back on and said, right, let's get fucking to it. This is the month. Everything is going to change now. We're into a new year and we're going to make this shit work. We adopted 2 cats in January and they were just a light in our lives that we didn't know we needed. We have this dream dog that we want, so us getting cats was a shock to us as well as everybody else. It gave us a distraction, it gave us something to put our attention into. It really helps our mental health. January was another shit month in work, and I said, maybe I'm not cut out to be a personal trainer. Maybe I'm not cut out for fitness. Maybe I was wrong my whole early 20s. Maybe I need to start looking at something else. Elena encouraged me not to give up on my dreams, that I'm not a shit PT. I'm meant to be a PT. Maybe I'm just not supposed to work for the company that I was working for. Started looking for other work, couldn't find it. Elena was having issues in her job. February, decided we can't do this anymore. What started off as a life-changing event, it is changing our lives, but not in the ways that we wanted. We decided to move home. We stayed in Canada until May of 2025. Once we had made the decision to leave, everything just, it felt like a weight off our shoulders. We felt like the same way we felt like when we were leaving Ireland, we started to feel about leaving Canada, that this was the right decision. Ireland's not all that bad. We started romanticizing a life in Ireland. We missed home. We found I found a new appreciation for being Irish and from being from Ireland, and just really started to embrace the fact that, like, I do love home for all its issues. I'd still rather be nowhere else. Moved home. We brought our cats with us. Moving home was a bitter pill to swallow because obviously I felt like I was moving home with nothing to show for. That mental space of being a failure still continued on until January of 2026. I completely lost all face of who I was. I got fat again. As you seen in episode 1, I went from the physique that you seen earlier on in this video to that in the space of 2 years. No real trigger happened to like get me out of that space that I was in. One day I woke up, I looked in the mirror, realized that I'm just letting my life slip away. and I'm doing nothing about it. So I started back up the gym. I found my love for training again. I reawoke my passion for helping people, which is ultimately where we are now, which has led to this series. I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to find others that have maybe gone through something similar that I've gone through. To show them you're not alone in this. Fitness and mental health isn't linear. You're not supposed to have everything figured out by a certain moment in time. You don't need to look a certain way or have a certain amount of success by a certain age. I'm rebuilding myself now and I'm 25, and you can too. So I am going to leave this episode here. It's probably a little bit longer than the other two, but that is the end of story time. After today's episode, the full rebuilding program starts. So, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.